two podiums set up there. We have, of course, Donald Trump, and there is the President of Mexico, President Nieto. They're approaching the podium, and we will listen in. We don't have the audio yet, and I trust we'll get an English translation when President Nieto speaks. When they do start to speak, and when we've got audio, you will hear exactly what they've got to say. This has been a hastily arranged meeting. I was told that it took about the last 5 days when the first invitation was issued, and the actual acceptance and the finalizing of details came only last night. So this is a very quickly arranged meeting. Donald Trump flew down this morning. He's at the presidential palace in Mexico City. They've held their meeting. I don't know how long it lasted, about an hour maybe. Now they're out of the meeting and all set to make the joint statement. I have no idea what they will say. I do not believe that they will take questions, although that could happen. We shall see. And I don't know what they're going to say, that's for sure. Here we go. Listen in, please.
Donald Trump have heard in public my respect to both, just as it was done with our president and with the president and our friend Barack Obama. The next American president will find in Mexico and its government a neighbor that wishes to work constructively to strengthen even more the link between our nations and together face our common challenges. I believe that there are great opportunities for both countries if we decide to take advantage of them together as true friends, as good neighbors, and strategic allies, parting from a relationship that is based on mutual respect. Even though we may not agree on everything, I trust that together we will be able to find greater prosperity and security without losing sight of the fact that freedom and independence are the basic principle of everything that we value. Any new policy needs to be renewed and reviewed every once in a while. We must review what has worked and what has not. What are areas and opportunities of improvement on both sides of the border? How can we alleviate misunderstandings? In virtue of this spirit, I sent a letter to both presidential candidates, to Mrs. Hillary Clinton and Mr. Donald Trump, proposing therein a gathering where we can talk in a constructive fashion about the joint progress of our countries. Today I have met with Mr. Donald Trump, and I hope to do the same with Hillary Clinton soon, with whom I have had the pleasure of discussing and having gatherings in the past. We might disagree on several issues, but your presence here, Mr. Donald Trump, shows that we do have fundamental common ground. Our countries are important one to the other. The United States is highly important to Mexico, just as Mexico is highly important for the United States. We share the border where there's greater traffic of persons, where every day, in a legal fashion, over 1 million persons cross the border and over 400,000 vehicles. Trade between our countries goes over $500 billion per year. We innovate, and together we manufacture. And in terms of national security, the daily cooperation between our governments is more important as time goes by in order to face the challenges of a complex world. Mr. Trump and I had an open and constructive discussion. The purpose of our meeting was to get to know each other and to exchange ideas and visions about bilateral relationship of our countries. In terms of trade, Mr. Trump and I talked about my condition that the free trade agreement of North America has benefited both the United States and Mexico. exports from the United States to Mexico are close to $200 billion per year. And according to the Chamber of Commerce of the United States, more than 6 million of American jobs depend on exports to Mexico. Our country buys more from the United States than from Germany, Spain, France, Italy, Japan, and the United Kingdom together. Many jobs in the manufacturing industry in the United States were sent to other regions of the world precisely because together we have developed a competitive manufacturing platform in the North American region. In average, 40% of the export content of Mexican exports is on American territory. We must work together to avoid that the sources of employment might leave our region. Nonetheless, this does not mean that the free trade agreement of North America doesn't have room for improvement for the benefit of both. Telecom is an agreement that was signed 22 years ago. The next president of the United States will find in my government an ally with the willingness to contribute a road to modernize Telecom with a view to make it more effective in generating quality jobs, better paid jobs in both countries. I do not believe that trade must be considered to be an effort that gives no results, where for one to win, the other one must lose. On the contrary, it must be viewed as an effort that generates value to both parts, and that makes our region in North America the most competitive and innovative in the world. As to border issues, my vision is very clear. The border must be transformed into an asset for our region. We have made great developments in the last few years, working very closely together with the Obama administration. And with the upcoming administration, we must fast-track these efforts so that the border between the U.S. and Mexico might become more efficient and safer. However, an important number of Americans or United States citizens see the border as a great problem because undocumented persons and illegal drugs cross to the United States. Undocumented immigration from Mexico to the United States reached its highest point 10 years ago, and it has been reduced consistently ever since, to the point where it's negative in net terms. Even so, we know that there is still a joint challenge, including the increasing number of non-Mexicans who cross through our country in order to reach the United States, therein creating serious human crises. However, this is a vision that is clearly incomplete of the true border issues, because it does not take into account the illegal influx of weapons and money. Every year, thousands of weapons and millions of dollars come into Mexico illegally from the north, strengthening drug cartels and other criminal organizations that generate violence in Mexico and that obtain profit from the sale of drugs in the United States. This flow must be stopped. What we need is an integral approach as to the border that might address the issue of the undocumented traffic and the flow of illegal drugs, weapons, and money, cash money. Many lives could be saved on both sides of the border if criminal organizations stop receiving the amounts of weapon and cash cash that right now promote their criminal activities. Illegal flow of weapons, drugs, and cash money in both directions has multiple negative consequences on both sides of the border. Our border must be viewed as a joint opportunity. Both countries must invest more in it, more in infrastructure, more people, and more technology in order to make it more efficient and secure. And even though I do recognize the fundamental right that each of the countries has to defend its border, I also believe that a true effort of collaboration between neighbors and allies is the most effective road in order to achieve this. I also expressed to Mr. Trump that to make the Mexican border more secure for our Central American neighbors, it is of great importance to Mexico and the United States. Likewise, in terms of national security, Mexico and the United States work together to face the challenges that this complex world present to us. Every day, Homeland Security from both countries interchange or exchange action and information. Independently from the result of the upcoming elections in the United States, the new American and United States administration can expect willingness and collaboration from the Mexican administration in order to make the North American region more safe. Mr. Trump, I would like to reiterate what I mentioned to you in private a few moments ago. My priority as the Mexican president and my administration's priority is to protect Mexicans wherever they may be. That is my responsibility, and I shall continue to abide by it with great passion. The Mexican community in the United States make daily contributions through their work, their talent, and creativity. They contribute to the prosperity and advancement of the United States and Mexico. Mexicans in the United States are honest and hardworking people. They're persons that are decent, that respect family, life and community, and that respect the law. As such, Mexicans deserve everyone's respect. Let's continue to work together to solidify the relationship between Mexico and the United States based on mutual respect, trust, and joint attention to the challenges that we share in common. I shall conclude by reiterating that the Mexican government shall be completely respectful of the electoral process in the United States. I recognize, acknowledge your decision to have a constructive dialogue. A dialogue is the road, is the proper road because it bridges gaps. Dialogue is the road because it enables us to reach greater understandings. Thank you very much. Let's now hear from the Republican candidate for the presidency of the United States.
Escuchemos las palabras del candidato republicano a la presidencia de los Estados Unidos de América, señor Donald Trump.
Let us now hear the words of the Republican candidate to the presidency of the United States of America, Mr. Donald Trump.
Thank you. It is a great honor to be invited by you, Mr. President. A great, great honor. Thank you. We had a very substantive, direct, and constructive exchange of ideas over quite a period of time. I was straightforward in presenting my views about the impacts of current trade and immigration policies on the United States. As you know, I love the United States very much, and we want to make sure that the people of the United States are very well protected. You equally expressed your feelings and your love for Mexico. The United States and Mexico share a 2,000-mile border, a $500 billion in annual trade, and 1 million legal border crossings each and every day. We are united by our support for democracy, a great love for our people, and the contributions of millions of Mexican Americans to the United States. And I happen to have a tremendous feeling for Mexican Americans, not only in terms of friendships, but in terms of the tremendous numbers that I employ in the United States. And they are amazing people, amazing people. I have many friends, so many friends, and so many friends coming to Mexico and in Mexico. I'm proud to say how many people I employ. And the United States, first, second, and third generation Mexicans are just beyond reproach. Spectacular, spectacular, hardworking people. I have such great respect for them and their strong values of family, faith, and community. We all share a common interest in keeping our hemisphere safe, prosperous, and free. No one wins in either country when human smugglers and drug traffickers prey on innocent people, when cartels commit acts of violence, when illegal weapons and cash flow from the United States into Mexico, or when migrants from Central America make the dangerous trek, and it is very, very dangerous, into Mexico or the United States without legal authorization. I shared my strong view that NAFTA has been a far greater benefit to Mexico than it has been to the United States, and that it must be improved upon to make sure that workers, and so important, in both countries benefit from fair and reciprocal trade. I expressed that to the United States and that of the United States, that we must take action to stem this tremendous outflow of jobs from our country. It's happening every day. It's getting worse and worse and worse, and we have to stop it. Prosperity and happiness in both of our countries will increase if we work together on the following 5 shared goals. Number 1, ending illegal immigration, not just between our two countries, but including the illegal immigration and migration from Central and South Americans and from other regions that impact security and finances in both Mexico and the United States. This is a humanitarian disaster. The dangerous treks, the abuse by gangs and cartels, and the extreme physical dangers. And it must be solved. It must be solved quickly. Not fair to the people anywhere worldwide, you can truly say, but certainly not fair to the people of Mexico or the people of the United States. Number 2, having a secure border is a sovereign right and mutually beneficial. We recognize and respect the right of either country to build a physical barrier or wall on any of its borders to stop the illegal movement of people, drugs, and weapons. Cooperation toward achieving this shared objective, and it will be shared, of safety for all citizens is paramount to both the United States and to Mexico. Number 3, dismantling drug cartels and ending the movement of illegal drugs, weapons, and funds across our border. This can only be done with cooperation, intelligence and intelligence sharing, and joint operations between our two countries. It's the only way it's going to happen. Improving NAFTA, number 4. NAFTA is a 22-year-old agreement that must be updated to reflect the realities of today. There are many improvements that could be made that would make both Mexico and the United States stronger and keep industry in our hemisphere. We have tremendous competition from China and from all over the world. Keep it in our hemisphere. Workers in both of our countries need a pay raise very desperately. In the United States, it's been 18 years. 18 years. Wages are going down. Improving pay standards and working conditions will create better results for all, and all workers in particular. There's a lot of value that can be created for both countries by working beautifully together, and that, I am sure, will happen. Number 5, keep manufacturing wealth in our hemisphere. When jobs leave Mexico, the U.S. or Central America and go overseas, it increases poverty and pressure on social services, as well as pressures on cross-border migration. Tremendous pressure. The bond between our two countries is deep and sincere, and both our nations benefit from a close and honest relationship between our two governments. A strong, prosperous, and vibrant Mexico is in the best interests of the United States and will keep and help keep for a long, long period of time America together. Both of our countries will work together for mutual good, and most importantly, for the mutual good of our people. Mr. President, I want to thank you. It's been a tremendous honor, and I call you a friend. Thank you. I think excellent, excellent. A tremendous respect for the president. We were actually together for quite some time, and I think excellent. I was with, as you know, Senator Sessions
El senador Sessions está aquí conmigo y también el alcalde Giuliani, y tuvimos realmente más de una hora.
Say it, yes? No, not at all. Look, we want what's good for the United States, and the president wants what's good for Mexico, and in sitting down and in talking, we both realize that we've realized this from the beginning, that it's good for both of us. Better for both of us, actually. Yes, John? We didn't discuss that. We didn't discuss who pays for the wall. We didn't discuss.
President, you've had some very harsh words directed towards Mr. Trump. Would you like to take back some of those? And the wall, is it a non-starter? Is there any chance Mexico pays for the wall?
Well, I'll start. I mean, nothing like an easy question like that. We did discuss the wall. We didn't discuss payment of the wall. That'll be for a later date. This was a very preliminary meeting. I think it was an excellent meeting. And we are... I think we're very well on our way. A lot of the things I said are very strong, but we have to be strong. We have to say what's happening. There is crime, as you know. There's a lot of crime and there's a lot of problems. But I think together we'll solve those problems. I really believe that the president and I will solve those problems. We will get them solved. Illegal immigration is a problem for Mexico as well as for us. Drugs are a tremendous problem for Mexico as well as us. I mean, it's not a one-way street. And we will work together and we will get those problems solved. Mr. President.
Diré de manera muy puntual que, como lo he expresado,
I should say that, just as I have said before, the Mexican government has complete respect for the electoral process in the United States. I invited both candidates, to which received a quick response from presidential candidate Trump, to talk about the bilateral issues. And in the private meeting, in addition to the meetings that we have, to the issues that we have highlighted, we have talked about the relevance that it has in terms of the relationship of both countries, how important a strategic alliance between both countries is. I also express as to the great responsibility that I, as the Mexican president, have to defend the Mexican people, to defend the Mexicans that are here and out of Mexico. Have there been misinterpretations or statements that unfortunately had hurt and impacted Mexicans in terms of the perception that the candidate had expressed, and which I absolutely respect, that the Mexican people had felt insulted by certain comments, but I was certain that his genuine interest is to build a relationship that might lead us to provide both our societies better conditions, that the willingness proposed by the Mexican president to gather with both candidates for the presidency of the United States is in fact on that premise, to be able to together build, but mostly on the basis of respect, mutual respect between our nations. I have shared this with the presidential candidate Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your attendance.
This event, and we thank all of you for your attendance.
It wrapped up. It lasted just 33 minutes. Statements from both the President of Mexico and Donald Trump. Let me briefly summarize what they had to say.